how did you come across the fact that okay, now it's time to change? Like, how did you switch? Like, what like drove you that desire to get better?
I was I was fed up of the whole situation, but it's obviously the mind is so strong, and people used to say to me, just fight against it, but you think like, how can you fight against yourself? I was in such a predicament with it. But then what turned it for me, I think it was 2012, the doctors threatened to put me back into hospital, and because of my experience in the previous one with the abuse, I said to my mum that I would rather die than go back to hospital. So I thought the only thing I can do is go away by myself and see, because I thought I've got nothing to lose, because I'm either going to die from anorexia or I'm going to die fighting against it. So I thought I've got nothing to lose. So I actually went to Mexico. It took me a while to be able to get there because I wasn't physically able to. And I did, it sounds awful now, but there was something inside of me, and I knew that it was going to help me. So the doctor said I couldn't fly until I was a certain weight. So that for me, I was like, there's no way I'm gaining weight, because I wasn't ready. So I used to have weekly checks, or twice weekly checks. So I used to get weighed, but I used to water load. And then I used to put all my clothes on behind the curtains and take stuff to put in my pockets until my weight was what they needed. And then I got on the plane, and they actually said to my mum that I probably wouldn't make it through the flight to Mexico. So my mum, obviously saying goodbye to me, didn't actually know if I was gonna get there. Yeah. But I did. And when I got there, as soon as I was away from everybody and all the professionals, like, something triggered for me, and I was like, I'm by myself, there's no one judging me. And I was like, I've got this chance and this chance only. So every day over there, I wrote all my own plans. I tried to eat something more every day, like added something every day. And although they say don't stress about calories, for me the calories were important, because I actually checked every day that I was having more. And then like each week I added like another 100, and I tried to do something every day that made me appreciate life more. So I used to sit in the sun one day, or like the next day I would go for a walk, because when I was ill I couldn't walk. And then when I got a bit stronger, my mum and dad actually paid for me to have a dolphin experience, a one-to-one dolphin experience. So it was like little bits of me were coming back. And I'm not going to say it's easy, because it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And there were days where I did fall back, but I knew, I think the stronger I got, the more I realised the position I'd been in, and I was like, whoa. I've missed like so many years of my life. And I used to sit on the side of the pool, fully clothed, like, because I still was so ill. And I used to watch everyone with their families, and I used to be like, everybody's so happy, yet I'm not. There's clearly something wrong. So it just went from there, really. That was my starting point, was to get away from everyone. And
so with the whole Mexico experience, like, you decided to just go out there, take ownership again, and then start implementing slow changes.
Yeah.
Like every week, I think, I don't know, 100 calories, like just make you appreciate life a little bit more.
Yeah.
And from there on, like, what was the outcome?
It was still a real slow process. I stayed severely underweight for a long time after that, but I was well enough to be doing things. When I came back from my trip, like, I'd improved a lot, I think more mentally than physically. Like, my mum was still worried when I came back, because I was severely underweight still, but she said that when I got off the plane and they were waiting for me in the airport, she said, like, I had Nicola back in my eyes. Yeah, because I think I lost that. I'd just become blank. So I think she knew that I'd done the right thing. But then it was a hard journey from there. As soon as I went back to my hometown, I kind of dipped again because I was reminded of everything and I just slipped. So then I flew to Greece and I actually lived over there for a year and worked over there. And then for the next couple of years, I just kept moving and moving. I was running away all the time, and I kind of knew I was running away from my hometown because it's almost like every time I was there, the illness was stronger. So I spent a few years moving around, but I experienced a lot and learned a lot about myself. And then I just,
That's good, that's great. I mean, at the end of the day, you found what works for you, and then you just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And if it was the case of traveling and moving around, although it may sound like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, it did do the job because, like, slowly you were starting implementing change in your life for a better outcome. And now, I mean, we got to the point where things are starting to change. You know, you start to see slow results. It takes time. It's a slow process. And I keep telling everybody, like, I mean, in the fitness world now, and you know, like, everybody wants fast results.
Yeah.
And you know, it takes time.
Yeah.
And it's a steep learning curve. Not only you change physically, because I'm sure you were changing physically as well, but mentally you were getting better.
Yeah.
And getting back home, obviously you were getting reminded of all these things. You had to go back again and then starting from scratch. And it's the same thing literally for everything in life.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're saying this. And if you can give me a bit of like clarity of, in terms of when did you start fitness? Because that's how I found you, you know, like, how did you come across it? Like, what happened?
I think as much as all of my moving around was crazy and people were like, she's not getting better, she's just running away. For me, every time I moved and every time something went wrong, because I usually moved back home, because I used to move and it would all go wrong and then I'd come back, and it's because I was searching for something. I think with an eating disorder and any mental health problem, it's not really about the food. Like, for me, it was a control thing, and I was trying to find what makes me happy in life. And because I had no idea what that was, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, the food was my control, and I was like, that was my focus. And then I'd always been active. Like, I come from an active family. So when I grew up, we didn't do computer games, we didn't sit inside. I was always on my rollerblades or the scooter. So I got back in the gym because it was something I missed. And then I became quite dedicated to it. I was in there all the time because I found like every time I went in there, I was so in my own freedom. And it was like my hour and a half. I was genuinely at peace in there. So I thought, why not actually make something of it? If I'm going to spend every day in here, I might as well actually do something with it. And then, that's when I decided, I was like, I'm going to compete, I'm going to challenge myself. And I wanted to prove to myself and anyone else out there that you genuinely can come from the bottom right back up to the top again.
That's exactly what I like to hear, and I like to say.
Yeah.
Like, everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Like, it all starts here. It all starts in the head, and the minute your mind is wired towards something, everything else doesn't matter. You just want to get that thing. And I mean, you just prove it as well. Like, you used to love the gym, and then with the current situation, you were like, okay, I need to take it to this level.
Yeah.
And that change of mindset just changed everything. Because from there on, you know the regiment. You know that if you have to compete in probably up your meals, like get some proper training routines going on with that. We're going to get to it a little bit, and I wanted to know, because the way I found you was online. You won a show with I think Pure Elite.
Yeah.
What was the experience like? What was it like? Was it your first show?
Yeah, that was my first one, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So, like, what was it like?
So the lead up to it was very up and down. Like every day would be different. One day I'd be like, no, I can't do it. And then the next day I'd be like, come on, I've got this. So I think it was a complete whirlwind, to be honest. I don't think I could explain the prep to anyone. But being on prep for me was like, some people say they hate it. I genuinely loved it.
Yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit because I want to know.
Yeah.
I really want to know.
But it wasn't just my first comp. It was actually because I was in the bikini for the comp. That was the first time I'd been in public in a bikini in 9 years. So for me, I said to my mum, if I take off my robe backstage and sort of go up on stage, I was like, I've done what I came to do. Like I wanted to break that barrier. So for me, I'd kind of won within myself, just taking off my robe.
Absolutely.